Cedric Maxwell Podcast
There you go.
from the QC.
Yes, sir.
All the
We
way
good. We live.
from the QC. The Bob McAdoo Summer League.
There it
Oh, we
was.
live.
Right there.
All right, perfect. All right, welcome into another episode of the Cedric Maxwell Podcast. Doing this one live. I am Josue Pavon. He is, of course, Cedric Maxwell. We got a very, very special guest, Bob McAdoo, two-time Lakers champion, joining us. NBA legend. What's going on, Bob? How are we doing, Max? How's everything?
Everything is good. I can't complain. I'm 6 feet upright.
I mean, you got that nice sun in Florida peeking through. Is that your sun? Oh no, we adjusted your window, so it's better now.
It's still light down here. You know how it's a little bit brighter in the afternoon down here than the rest of the United States on the East Coast.
Well,
Of course.
Josue, we're gonna start this thing off because I gotta
Max wants to get right into it. I can tell.
Yeah,
all right.
Because we
Max got a
heard
lot to say.
I heard what Kyrie said. Kyrie started talking about saying he said that he didn't want to hear any shenanigans,
Right.
anything from the crowd that might be racially baited, as if they're going to say something to him, that's going to be out of pocket. How do you feel about that?
Well, you can't really tell the crowd what to say. I mean, when we played Max, you might hear anything from the crowd, especially you remember when we went to Detroit and what was the barber's name? I mean,
Leon.
I'm sure you heard it. Yeah.
Leon the barber, he would say anything. And I mean, this guy made coaches make substitutions the way he talked about you so bad. He talked about your mama. He talked about the coach's mama. He said the N-word. He was a black man, and he would call us the N-word. I mean, it was just ridiculous, some of the stuff that was said. People, and man, don't even talk about going to Europe. When I played in Italy, we got spit on. We got coins thrown at us, toilet paper. I mean, that's just the way the fans, they get out of hand.
Right, absolutely. And Bob,
the only time you should be able to get out of hand is if they put their hands on you, or spitting. That's off the chain right there for me.
absolutely.
I might have done something crazy if somebody would have spit on me at close range. I don't know.
But I don't think this is what I don't believe. I don't even believe it has to be that, because I think that what we see, and I know a lot of people said, well, you can't make this a color issue. Well, you look what happened to Westbrook, and Westbrook, the popcorn being thrown on him. I've tried to tell people and educate some guys today on my radio station, the Sports Hub, about just people of color have something about things being thrown at them and thrown on them. Our race, our culture, over these years, we've had people throw stuff on you, and they were so, I guess, dismissive about it. Well, it was just popcorn. Well, I don't give a damn what it was. There's no need to throw anything on nobody if you at the game. And if you think that it's okay that to throw something at them, why don't you wait till after the game when you see them walking down the street and you walk up to him like a grown-ass man and throw something on him? Like Westbrook said, there would have been a different ending to that one.
All right, well, Mac, let me ask you this then, because obviously this much anticipated Game 3 matchup between the Celtics and Nets, the first time Kyrie Irving is going to be playing in front of Celtics fans, and he put out a little warning out there, just in case. I know you guys might get too excited. I know you guys haven't seen playoff basketball in quite some time, but don't get too excited. Don't drink too much and disrespect me out there. Did you have a problem with him saying that? Because to your point, things like this are already happening because these fans, obviously, they haven't seen live basketball in quite some time, especially playoff basketball.
Have we ever heard Boston fans say that? Now, Bob might be different because he was from the opposition. But have you ever been called a nigga when you were in Boston on the court?
No, never.
Okay.
No, I've heard all kind of other things. I mean, Leon the barber called us that.
Yeah.
But
Leon was ruthless.
I never heard of Boston. I mean, they would call you asshole and stuff like that, and but it never got. At least I never heard it. It never got racial.
Well, Bob, let me ask you this then. For someone like Kyrie to say that before Game 3, before heading back, is that a bit of a low blow? Obviously, the city has a checkered past with racial, epithets and racism racing through this city in one way or another, especially in sports. How do you feel about Kyrie saying that to sort of set that sort of tone heading into Game 3?
Well, I don't know what's going through Kyrie's mind, but I know probably you too, Max. We wouldn't have said nothing. We just go and play and take what's out there, and hopefully it doesn't get off the chain. We're not going to warn people of, before you get there. You got to wait to see what happens. And then if it happens, who knows at the moment what you're going to do? I mean, you talking about throwing stuff on people. I had a woman, I got in road rage a couple of years ago because a woman thought I cut her off, and we were at the stoplight. She pulled beside me. My window was down, and she had a cup of ice and threw the ice through the window on me. Well, I went berserk.
Wow.
I had about 10 Gatorade bottles that I had just picked up from the arena.
You had some ammo.
I bombed her car out through my window. I bombed her car out. She'll think twice before she throws some ice.
Damn, Bob.
Anybody, especially a black man. Because me and Max didn't grow up in that time where, you just kind of put your tail between your leg and let stuff happen, probably like our parents had to do. This is kind of a new day. You're gonna retaliate when crazy stuff like that happens. So, with Kyrie, I wouldn't have said anything before I went to Boston. I played in Boston, gone up there, played with him for, during my 14-year career, and we heard some raunchy stuff, and you just took it and played, and that was it.
Right.
Yeah. I've never, like I said, only time I've ever heard the N-word in my life while I played was in Detroit with Leon the Barber. And he was like Bob McAdoo said, he was a legend in Detroit.
Pissed everybody off, huh?
Boys, and I've heard him say, told Bob McAdoo, you know what, nigga, if you ain't playing better, I'm gonna send your ass back down to the damn plantation. So I've heard him say that.
Well, I heard stuff worse than that in high school. Because remember, when we came up in high school in the 60s, that's when integration happened. And I remember, Brad, you were down east, but we played East Forsyth, which is right outside of Winston-Salem. That's where Chris Paul went, and it changed by the time he went. I think I told Chris about it. Chris said, yeah, my uncle told me about it. Those farmers used to be right there at the court with their bib overalls and cut off pitchforks, and we'd be in the warm-up line, and they'd have their little cans, spitting snuff and stuff, and they'd tell you in the warm-up line, nigga, don't you fall out of bounds. And we didn't fall out of bounds. So they had a damn pitchfork. You from Boston, do you know what a pitchfork is?
I've heard of it, yeah. I've never seen one. Thank God I've never seen one.
Pitchfork is where they be dabbing and putting hay on the wagon. This is what they threatened us with. We saw that all the time.
Well, Bob, you were in that era to me, and I just, I'm kind of in it, but you were in Greensboro at the time when they did the first sit-ins. Restaurants at that time. During Martin Luther King's time. You were there during those times. Yeah, my mother would not let me go downtown when the students from A&T were at Woolworths, and they would not serve you. And I saw on the nightly news these young boys were trying to get served, and whites were pouring milkshake and stuff on their head. My mother wouldn't let me go nowhere near downtown. I was about 11 to 12 years old when that's happening. I mean, and then, Brad, we talked about Myrtle Beach. We used to go to Myrtle Beach, and, they had a line in the sand. We couldn't go
past that line, and it's Brad even said it first. He said the line went all the way out in the ocean.
They literally.
Max says it was the size of a football field.
I told you, literally, they had a fence that ran from the top of the beach and went all the way out in the ocean, about as long as the football field, to separate blacks from. So blacks couldn't get in white water. What the hell is white water? I don't know. But the most ironic thing about that, Bob, as I told you before, is that my son, Madison Maxwell, later became one of the first black lifeguards, one of the first black lifeguards at Myrtle Beach. Just shows you how things have changed. But I still look at the conduct now of some fans, and I'm reading some of the chats, and some of them call Kyrie a bitch, and he's this and he's that. But I think there's also fan conduct that, dude, gotta realize one thing: this is a game. This is a keep it in perspective. This is nobody's life. This is a game that these athletes are playing, and you can get revved up, you can be mad, and all these things. But at the end of the day, remember, it's a game that. Hopefully all the players leave and they're healthy. And it was a game of entertainment. You paid your money, you saw a game, and that's pretty much it. So I'm saying stay in your lane. And people say, well, what is it about, Westbrook with the popcorn? They said, well, it was just popcorn. Well, it was just water with Ron Artest. It was just the knee in the palace floor. Yep. I mean, if you just want to say, if you want to be dismissive about everything, but when Ron Artest, it was just water. He went up in the whole stands and cleared the whole stands out. And
Steven Jackson was clearing everybody.
Oh my God, they went up there. You talking about wanting smoke? They bought smoke. Steven Jackson, they bought smoke up in there.
Oh yeah, as J. Cole would say, there was a whole nicotine company of smoke. That's what's going on in the stands. Yeah.
Well, we had to hold a lot of stuff in. We really did. I mean, Leon the barber was a black man, and let me tell you, that was the worst that I have ever experienced in my life over any white, fan. I mean, this guy here, I was so angry with this guy. And they said, Bob, don't mess with him. This guy is packing. And, I was like, oh yeah, I'm scared. Like I knew some gangster types in North Carolina that I could have flown up there and could have taken, but what was I going to get doing that stuff there? You just hold a bunch of stuff in, that happened during your career. I mean, I saw so much stuff, we'd be here all day talking about it, from high school to junior college, to Carolina, to over in Italy. We just saw so much stuff that we just had to, just nonsense that you had to put up with.
Right. So, I mean, I think when you look at what Kyrie had to say, you also have to look at the relationship between the fans and Kyrie. I mean, Max, you can attest to this. The last couple of years, I mean, is it fair to say he's dodged these fans, right? I mean, one way or another, when the fan base decided to say Kyrie sucks at the end of a game that he wasn't in, what did Kyrie do? He went to social media and wrote about it. I mean, like, I feel like this was a way for him to sort of set the tone heading into this one. Like, look, you're going to boo me, make sure it's respectful. But at the same time, if you guys do get really, really harsh, from the national standpoint, the narrative right now I'm setting is that it's going to look pretty damn racist if you see a bunch of white faces at TD Garden, chanting whatever creative chant they come up with. Now that he set the tone with this race,
well, if they're
pulling the race card here,
if they're chanting something like Kyrie sucks, even that for me, Bob, is something which is disturbing, and I'm saying it's disturbing to me because if I have a young kid with me, and all these young kids are at the game, and how impressionable they are.
Yeah.
And they're saying, if I got an 8-year-old, I bring him to the game, and we're chanting Kyrie sucks, and my son or my daughter looks at me and going, Kyrie sucks what, Dad? What does he suck? I mean, that to me is the thing that I look at, and I think Boston fans are better than that.
I think a lot of these people, if their kids just gonna join in too.
But that's a
Boston, man.
problem, though. That's a problem. What are we teaching our kids?
But that's part of sports, though.
What?
That not only sports. That's part of life. You see what's happening today in society. You know, this stuff is totally out of control right now. You know,
and that's what I'm saying. It has to be a point where we start dragging this thing back in. And maybe I'm looking at it like, you know, I'm in Disneyland or I'm at the Wizard of Oz or something. But
you can't put nothing back in the bottle.
Bob, there has to be a point where we start dragging this thing back in, because right now it's getting all of it is getting out of control. To the point where somebody's gonna get really hurt. And I mean, I ain't talking about like, you know, something like Ron Artest punch something. I'm talking about somebody's gonna get hurt, somebody's gonna get killed.
You don't think
Max, look at
you don't think Kyrie's thinking about stuff like that?
Look what happened January the 6th.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got adults out of control.
Yeah.
You know, how can you put that back in? And you got people in, you know, Congress saying, "Oh, it was nothing but tourists and stuff." Now, people, you got the whole party that they ain't gonna like me saying that, but that's what I saw. I saw people with flags jabbing people, breaking down windows, you know, getting in the chamber and stuff, and they saying nothing but tourists.
Bob, you said there were tourists which were just. They were just coming into the Capitol building to look around.
Just to look around.
Hey, but Max,
the overzealous tourists,
Mr. Friendly. You know, I mean, are you on the planet Earth? What is this for political purposes or what? I mean,
what if that group was
being honest?
What if the majority of that group were black men and women doing that? Different outcome, right?
I think the machine guns would have been out and people would have been killed. That's what I believe.
No question. I agree with that 1,000%. I'm glad we're on the same page on that.
And it wouldn't be, you know, they fighting now over this commission. You'd have every Republican voting for a commission to see what happened, you know, with all these black people. If it would have been Black Lives Matter, people would have been killed. People don't understand. It's not an even playing field out here. You know, it's just like when we go back to basketball. Do you see a bunch of black people out there screaming and yelling and calling people out of their names at basketball games? I don't think so.
First of all, the average fan of the game is always white.
Yeah. But when you do see some brothers and sisters there, you don't see them getting out of hand. Calling normally, Bob, they're sitting so far up in the damn seats that you can't hear them.
Facts. Ain't nothing you gonna do. What you have when you have
Bob, the best ticket I ever got was my media pass.
When you have black people sitting around,
never been that close.
The seats. Those are the Spike Lee people. They ain't doing nothing anyway.
You're right. You up there in the top. You know how that slant is? If they stand up, they might fall all the way down on the floor. That's how steep that stuff is up there in the top.
Wow, you feel like you're walking sideways when you're up there, man.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I do understand, and again, maybe I am living in a little fantasy world about trying to drag it back in, but there's some point of me that says that, you know, we have to get back to saying this is a basketball game. It's a basketball game, but guys, it's not like, you know, anything else we're doing. We're not fighting. We're not doing this. This is a basketball game.
Well, let me ask you this thing, man.
So what?
Let me ask you this though. It's also a best of 7 series. Like, that's the part I think people need to really remember also. Like, at the end of the day, guys like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, guys who are champions in this league, who've been there. Is this not more of a chess move, in my opinion, right? I mean,
you gotta look at
it. Stating his facts. Obviously, Boston has a dark history, but at the same time, it's a mind game. It's a way to sort of switch the narrative heading into Game 3.
You know, basketball is like football, like boxing, like tennis. It's a gladiator sport. What happened back in the Roman time? You know, with the Roman Colosseum. They wanted the lions to kill people. when these guys are up there in the stands, they want to see. They want to really see a hockey game. They want to see some fight. Brad, you know how we as
that's the way it was, Max. That's how
they done pussied up the game there. You hit somebody in the head, and you got a $25,000 fine.
Now you're talking to my language.
Yeah, Bob, we're live.
Now, Bob, you're
That's okay. That's okay.
Bob, you're real because they are doing that.
That's what they're doing.
This game has been pussied up like that.
Yeah.
Where you look at it. Here's one I talked before, Bob, when I saw a stat I gave. Jason Tatum and Brown, these are our two best players.
Yeah.
Have played almost 650 games.
Yeah.
Neither one of these players have ever had a dust up with the opposition. Not one. Not one. Have you ever seen a great player in this league not have a dust up with another player?
Never.
Yeah.
Never. It's like when I first came back from Italy, and I was watching games on TV, and I used to see guys make shots and go down the court, and they're looking at the other opponent's bench. I even saw Jordan do that. We would say, okay, take care of him. Next time he come down the lane, he gonna be rolling. He gonna be undercut. He gonna be rolling about 4 or 5 times from trying to embarrass you like that. But you can't do that now. This is,
but Bob, there still has to,
because everyone's friends, Bob. That's the problem.
Bob, I understand that. But I love Tatum and I love Brown.
Yeah.
But this is what I believe. When I saw Kevin Durant hit him in the face with an elbow, and then Tatum came down and ticky-tack fouled him, and then immediately went to the official and started talking to the official. I'm like, during my era, what would you do? You going to that man's ass.
Someone better hold you back. Right,
but you know what's different, Brad, with us? We would go out at the beginning of the game and we give everybody some dap, shake hands and everything. Now these guys are fake tough guys. I don't see anybody shaking anybody's hand. But like Joe said, everybody's friends. But I this is what I noticed. I don't see anybody shaking hands. Everybody get to their spot and like tough guys. I noticed that. I said, damn, nobody's showing any sportsmanship or nothing. And then they get in the game and they play that soft stuff. While we played the Celtics, Brad knows our rivalry. We go out there, we tap hands and stuff, and then when the game gets going, it's on. It's on.
Bob, you're so right. And people ask me right now, back in the day, why I wouldn't go to prayer meetings, before the game with the opposition, the other team.
Did you go to chapel, man?
I'm not praying with a guy that I might have to elbow.
Yeah, right. Oh no.
I'm not doing that. I might have to elbow you. I give a damn about your feelings.
I didn't get that either.
Wow, we getting the chance to see part of this. They showing it up on the screen, but
I just saw it.
It shows his elbow right here. And Tatum, this is all up in the face, man.
Oh,
this what did. Then you came down and fouled him. What's the next thing you do? You
went the other direction, straight to the road.
Dude.
That's going to be, Brad, that's going before he even got,
look at him.
Well, first of all, the referee didn't call that.
He didn't know. He didn't call anything.
Let me tell you,
Bob,
that's going to be retaliation.
Bob, if you don't take care of yourself, though, in this league, you can't expect anybody else to take care of you.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean by just being in a game like that. And I love these guys. I love Tatum. I love Brown. But
and then the foul. Max,
hold on though. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question though. What about this dynamic between him and Durant? I just feel like it's not only about Durant bullying him, but it's also is Tatum too intimidated for the big moment to go up against Kevin Durant? Is he just not ready at this point? Like, how do you call it?
Somebody asked me that. They said, well, maybe Tatum was one of these guys. I said, man, Tatum grew up in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
He ain't grew up with no damn silver spoon in his mouth and nothing. So he's played physical basketball. I think the problem is with the Celtics sometimes is everybody expects Marcus Smart, their uncle, to come and protect them. Yeah. Marcus is going to come over and take up. No, dude. In this league, and I would tell Tatum and I would tell Brown that in this league right now, you have, especially your best two players. If your best two players don't send a message, and then and even in this game, Bob, one of the things that happened was Evan Fournier was the first guy ever to say something to Durant in this game, and this dude's from France.
Yeah,
he's from damn France.
Why gotta be all that, man?
How the hell is a damn Frenchman gonna be the first person?
I know it. You know they had a reputation. They got a
reputation want all the smoke too.
They got a reputation for being soft, you know. But that was, back in our day, what Durant did there, that would have been immediate retaliation. He got cracked.
That fall in line with that. Okay.
The foul he gave him on that video you just showed me, that wasn't even no foul. It was too soft.
Thank you. I tried to tell people this. I'm like, that wasn't no foul. You tapped him on the arm as retaliation. You should have threw his ass down.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, Max, you tell me what happens next then. How does game 3 play out?
The first person Tatum is going to. He's going to the official.
Are we going to see more of the same on Friday? What's going to happen?
I hope not. When you see that right there, that's enough to tell me right now what needs to be done. And I'm not advocating that there needs to be violence in the game, but I'm saying this about Tatum and Brown. You got to protect yourself. Yeah. And your best two players cannot be in a situation. And I've seen every player that ever been in the NBA. And why are your teammates coming over to grab you from the officials? One of these dudes need to be going over to Durant right now. Ain't nobody said nothing to him.
Right. What? Mac, come on. I mean, the league. It's the league. That's 25. If he'd have retaliated, it'd have been 25,000.
Max still mad. He put his lights out.
Bob, hold on. I gotta get him some light now. Damn, man. Piss me off.
Yeah, Brad. Put some light.
Let's talk about Tatum some more, man. Bob, put yourself in his shoes. Like, are you seeing that? Is this an intimidation factor, or is he just overmatched? Like, how do you call
it? Tatum can go right back at him.
Right.
That was the veteran showing that the young fella.
Yeah.
The young pup.
What it's going to be like.
The big dog versus the young pup. Yep.
Big dog versus the new dog on the block.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing his alpha stuff. Saying, "Yeah, you're not here yet, bro." And that play right there, oh boy, yeah, come on, Brad. Even when we were 21 and 22, we're gonna go right back at him.
Boy, there was
your worst nightmare the rest of the tournament.
Here's the thing, which was even worse.
That's where it used to be.
If you didn't go at him, every one of your teammates was going to go at your ass. Everyone, not one.
Everyone. I want to see
your teammates is going to go to you and go, man, what the hell's wrong with you?
Right.
What's up? Let's do this. They were in the middle of that. Come on.
See, the thing is, if he'd have cracked them with a hard foul, okay, of course he'd have got fined, but they would have to have looked at the video to see who initiated that thing. And they would have seen Durant initiated all that physical contact that started the whole shebang.
Wait a minute, Bob. Let me make sure Let me make sure I get this. So Tatum is going to make probably about $40 million over the next 5 years, about $200 million. What is them peanuts going to do for him getting fined?
25. You're right.
Them peanuts. And I know I'm talking NBA terms. Them peanuts right now.
Yeah, you're right.
For a guy like him. So I want to see the physicality, especially in this game 3, of Tatum protecting himself. That's all I'm asking for. Protect yourself, brother.
Especially when Durant is guarding him. He gonna get an elbow. He gonna get an elbow. You got the best 4 out of 7 game. You gonna get an errant elbow somewhere down the line before this series is over.
Somebody made a
galvanize this team, fellas.
somebody made a point, Josue, that said that maybe Tatum wants to be liked by everybody. He wants to be in that club where you don't make enemies. I'm not gonna. But to me, in basketball, the most respectful thing you can do is stand up for yourself. Because when you do, that bully is all of a sudden gonna go, man, just to leave it. And me, I remember one thing I did, and I tested the guy, and this is what it is, Josue. It's a test. This is what veterans do. Yeah. I did this with I did this with Xavier McDaniels. And David McDaniel came in, first came in the league, and this was one of my last years. And I said, he's supposed to be a tough guy. So I was under the basket with him, Bob, and I gave him an elbow. I got him right in the stomach. He bent over. Yeah. And I ran back down the court thinking it was all over. I'm standing under the basket looking. He's standing right beside me. He balls his fist up and hits me right between my legs. And I double over, and all you can hear me going was, "We're even. We're even. We're even now. we're good now." But those are the messages that younger players have to send to older players. And Josue, you love this. That I ain't taking. I know we live. I ain't taking no shit. Okay, that's how that goes.
Right.
That's how that goes.
Oh yeah. That's.
But he's got to galvanize his team as well, guys.
That's how you get your reputation. That's how people stop screwing with you and stuff. I mean, my stuff started before I even got on the floor. They wanted the rookies to come. I had a veteran that came in my rookie year, and tried to bump me off the table. And I said, no, I ain't do that. Now I looked at him like, what you gonna do? You ain't bumping me off this table. And the die was set right there.
Yeah.
What happened, Bob? What happened?
I was
what happened eventually?
And I let him
MVP, right?
MVP season. You ain't bumping me from this table. That's how I was.
I'm gonna tell you what. Dave Cowens bumped me off the table. What did I do? I got off that damn table.
You got off the damn table.
I'm good. Go ahead, take his ankle up. I'm good right now.
You got that.
Matter of fact, I'm going out here without tape on my ankle right now. I'm good.
No. Hey, let me tell you something. You're not gonna believe this. I've had Bob Kaufman came in, who I don't know if you heard the story. Bob Kaufman knocked Dave Cowens out.
Wow.
Big Bob Kaufman, and went to Guilford College. There was the All-Star Buffalo. Those guys come in, and I said, no, I'm not doing that. They used to try to make the rookies take bags. I didn't take no bags. I say that's not in my contract. I'm not taking no bags. I let Jack Ramsey know, and I let the veterans on the team know I wasn't doing that. Maybe that's why they called me malcontent malinger. That stuff.
Well, you know what, Bob? How about this?
First impression.
Wasn't it another thing of where you were drafted? You were drafted what number? What?
I was a number 2 pick.
See, you number certain things. They ain't gonna screw with some people like that. I mean, you think about when Magic came in. Ain't nobody screw with Magic like that. Bird, we didn't ask Bird to do that. Yeah. He came to our team. He was mad one time because we had. At that time, we were flying commercial, and his ticket was pink, and ours were white. And I said, oh, man, what's sweet? Where your ticket? He was in coach. He was. Yes. But what we're saying though is, and exactly right, when Josue, veterans are going to challenge you, and they're going to see where you're in the playoff series. They're going to see where your heart is. Exactly. And if you don't come back and retaliate against them, then it's going to make them do it that much more. I mean, look at it. When Jason Tatum got poked, now he got poked in the eye by Durant in the second game. It was out in the second half. Did you see Durant walk over and say, "Yo, man, you all right? You okay?" He walked in there, poked him in the eye. He didn't mean to do it, but poked him in the eye and then walked his ass away.
Hey,
come on. No, he's a cold
veterans talk
killer,
about that veterans talk about that all the time.
One of the greatest scorers.
There's always some retaliation going on. Oh my goodness. You weren't gonna get away with that stuff back in the 70s and 80s, Brad. You just wasn't gonna do it. And a young guy coming in.
Was it always on the court though? Or did something ever pop off in the back or not?
What's that?
Like fighting? Was it always? Did it always stay on the court, or did arguments or fights ever happen in the back, or no?
No, I mean the stuff would go down on the court.
And that was it, right?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And they might, what's different for today is they are trying to protect their investment. We look back at us, it's almost like they didn't care about their investment. We used to get clothesline, undercut.
Bob, that was before the TV deal. That was before the big TV deal.
Next, when we got 30, 31, 32 years old, they was ready to move us out of the league. Now guys can play till they 40 years old. And you got 30 teams. We could have played when we was 32, 33, 34 years old. I mean, I ended up going to Italy, averaging 30 points a game. I came back from the McDonald's Open and played against, who was it, the premier forward in the NBA when I came back in 86, Terry Cummins. I gave him 39, and they told me I was over the hill. This stuff is just changed.
Well, you even talk about you talk about the length of people's career. Talk about your guy, Udonis Haslem, still playing.
Yeah.
No, Udonis ain't playing. Udonis is my boy, but Udonis is not playing.
The one time he did play, what happened this year though? What happened?
Now they talk about
he got ejected.
Guys are good in the locker room. They didn't care nothing about you being good in the locker room. They wanted to clear a spot out. They wanted to get your high salary out of the way, and that high salary to them at the time was $300,000 or $400,000. Let's pay a young boy $100,000. Let's get this $300,000 out of the way. And they let a guy go who got all the experience, got all the talent, but they didn't care. They didn't care. They just moved you on. They just moved you on. Now it's 30 teams, and if you can still breathe, they keep you in the league.
I think you're so right when it comes to this league, but I think maybe it's all sports still, really, Bob. Every sport we could think about. You think about Tom Brady couldn't play in the National Football League back during the time when those quarterbacks were getting punished.
Oh yeah.
Now essentially you can't touch a quarterback.
No.
And you cannot touch a quarterback in football law.
No,
and you ain't never see a quarterback during that era come in with a hook slide, and then now you can't tackle him.
No. I can see Dick Butkus now. Brady sliding, and he jumps on top of him and knocks his head off, knocks the helmet off his head, and then stand over him and look at him. This is what I think is crazy about the league now, Bob, is I saw Jaylen Brown come in and dunk on Giannis, dunked on him, and then flexed his muscle, and they gave him a technical for looking at the guy. I was like, looking at him, for dunking on him? I mean, the league is that part of it. You remember the referee that called a technical on that playoff with Rasheed Wallace? You know how Rasheed was. Rasheed was looking at the referee, and the referee gave him a technical because he was looking at him too hard. I remember him saying that, talking about he's trying to intimidate me. So I give him a technical. I told him to stop intimidating me. But I told people, Bob, I played in a game one time, which was the best of, and you never probably played in one, but there was one time we had we had two officials, and one official got hurt at halftime, and all we had was one official. To do the whole game. I'm telling you, the one official, he kept his eye on the ball, but on that other side, that offside, there was cussing, screaming, fighting, kicking. Was crazy on that side. I can't imagine one official.
Wow, what happened in 84, man? People keep asking about 84.
84?
Yeah.
Injuries, man. Injuries.
I think there's some sort of incident. What happened in 84? A commissioner told you and Coop to not wear your socks.
Told me and Coop, we've been wearing our long socks all year. And he came in and told us we got to be uniform. Everybody got to either wear the little short Laker gold and purple socks, or everybody got to wear long socks.
Wow.
You think me and Cooper listen to that crap?
Absolutely not.
We went out there and wore our long socks. You know,
was it a superstition thing, or you were just making a statement?
No, it's just what you've been doing your whole career. You know, I had my strings out of my shorts, and I've been wearing my long socks ever since high school. I'm not going to change just because of that.
Right.
You know, I mean, they even came in and told us, Brett, I don't know if they told you guys, they told us we were getting too physical. So Pat came in and told us we got to calm down, you know, with our physicalness in the game. What?
How about this? They didn't tell us that.
Well, they told us that.
They didn't tell us that.
Yeah, they told us that, Brett. I'm like,
they would have came in there and they would have got thrown out of the locker room. I think, Josue, the thing about that I you know, it's so sad is the fact that in 1984, you know, when I did the get on my back and I had 24, 8, and 8 in Game 7, Bob McAdoo was hurt and didn't play. One of my best players did not play. Now, I could give a damn if he was my friend because I was going to go at it. But right. And then the very next year in '85, I was hurt and I didn't play in the playoff series. So it was just really wow how those things kind of went back and forth. And Josue, the big thing about it is that the competitive nature that we had was so great that Bob McAdoo is still one of my best friends in sports. Mm-hmm. And actually stayed with me. He got traded from the New York Knicks to the Boston Celtics. What year was that? 1980?
It had to be
79, 80?
About 80. Seemed like it was about, I'm going to say
79.
79.
Yeah. And Josue, he was so mad. We had about 2 months to go. He was so mad. He didn't even go out and get an apartment. He slept on my couch in my one bedroom apartment for 2 months.
Oh, man.
And here's the thing about Bob. Bob didn't know how to cook. Nope. So I was like his chauffeur, his cook, his butler. I mean, I was like,
what a teammate, roommate, cook.
And all he was doing.
That's a come up. That's come up.
Tell them the way they did me. I get traded from the Knicks. I'm in the running with George Gervin and David Thompson for the scoring lead. Okay. I get traded. I get to Boston. You know, they had that big thing with John Y. Brown and Red Auerbach and stuff. And I get to Boston for a trade. Casey Jones and Allen's going to put me in the game with 3 minutes to go. And I'm averaging 29 points coming from New York. And I said, no, I ain't doing that. Hey, you ain't put me in no game with no 3 minutes to go. No way, Jose. And I had gotten.
I was saying that was an hour ago. You could have put me in, man. That's it.
My father kept saying, son, why are you not going to Boston? I said, Dad, you don't understand. And I told my father this. He said, Boston is the graveyard for black players. My father turned to me and said, boys, your check gonna get there on the 1st and the 15th? I said, yeah. He said, you get your ass up there at Boston. He didn't want to hear nothing about no graveyard stuff. But I mean, he was right and I was right. Because when they didn't sign me back, oh boy, you could see all the underhanded stuff that Boston did, the way they talked about me. A weaker person wouldn't have kept on going. You know, you just heard all this. I mean, I heard words. I never heard the word malcontent, malingerer. I had to look these words up in the dictionary. I said, what the heck is that? Malcontent and malingerer. That's the stuff they did to the black players that left Boston. They didn't, to me, because I played against them. We had all those great series when I was in Buffalo, and you know, How can you put me in a game with 3 minutes when I was averaging 40 points a game against Cowens? Why would you do that? I didn't have anything to do with the trade. That was with the management. Y'all get that together. Don't dog me like that and don't think I'm going to take that. It was just wasn't going to happen.
Bob, let me tell you something. I told Max this all the time growing up, right? Obviously, born and raised in Boston. And, growing up in Boston, the OGs, they always thought it was so funny that I was a Celtics fan, right? Because when I was growing up, the Celtics weren't a great team. Paul was around, but they weren't winning games. They weren't making the playoffs. And the OGs will always say, why do you love the Celtics so much? They don't play well. You weren't even around for the good old years. And I always say it's because I'm born and raised in Boston. I got to represent my team. That's the way I was brought up. That's where my dad introduced me to the game. And it was interesting because I always looked at it as a racial thing. It was like, no, growing up, we never cheer for the Celtics. We cheer for the Lakers. That's the black squad. That's the squad that goes against the white Celtics that had a couple of black players. But so what? We can't stand their asses. And that always blew my mind, Bog. I'm like, yo, that's your squad. You're able to see the golden era of them competing for championships. And you're cheering for the Lakers? What is wrong with y'all? How is Larry Bird not your favorite player? How is, Parrish or McHale or Max? Like, how are these guys not your favorite players? No, they cheered for the Lakers throughout. Guys that were born and raised in Boston. Why do you think that is, Bob?
Well, look, me and Brad came up in the 60s. You probably too young to remember this. I remember did you see the movie Glory Road?
I did.
Well, I saw it live when it was on TV. University of Kentucky against Texas Western. All 5 whites against all 5 blacks. Classic. They want to talk about Bird Magic series as being the most watched. I don't believe that. I believe the most watched game was that Texas Western Kentucky game because it was a racial thing. All the black people were cheering for Texas Western. That was the first time. And somebody told me Loyola Chicago had the first one, but this black team here, all black team, won it in 1966. And everybody was pulling, all Black Nation was pulling for Texas Western, and they pulled it off. Okay. Now, let me shoot back to 1972. Charlie Scott was the first black in North Carolina. Then by the time I got there, it was only me and Bill Chamberlain. We get to the Final Four, okay? It's only me and Bill. We in the state of North Carolina. People love the University of North Carolina. We played Florida State in the semifinals. 5 brothers. People said, Bob, we sorry. We love you and Bill Chamberlain, but we got to go for the brothers for Florida State. And Florida State beat us by 4 points in that Final Four, and they ended up losing to Bill Walton and them by 2 or 3 points in the championship game. But that's just the way it's been. The brothers gonna stay with the brothers when it comes to basketball, especially in the 60s, 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Those
OGs that were talking to me, Bob, they were in the 80s.
Tell me this.
They love Magic.
I got another question for you, Bob. Well, why was it that I knew basketball had changed the first time I saw there was Jesus, there was Martin Luther King in the barbershop, and then there was a picture of Larry Bird in the black barbershop. I was like, I knew things had changed. Are you crazy? Man, that is when
Bob, right next to the picture with the different
I officially got on the Larry Bird bandwagon. Then I'm like, damn, this brother done cross that. Because I always tell people, I say I was the first guy, actually, the first pro to play against him. My second year in the league, I was averaging 19 points a game. So I'm playing against Larry, and I was again a prejudiced black dude who never thought any white guys could play. And I remember sitting on the stanchion when he walked in. I'm like, I did like this. Great white hope. Here we go.
Here comes the hype.
Okay. And we went on the first practice like I am going at Larry. I am scoring.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that this white boy was this bad. I was like, he hit the first jump shot. I was like, maybe that was luck. Second one, third one. by the end of the practice, I remember getting to the first black person I could see, you know what? This damn white guy can play. and I said, God's a funny God, though. I said, he doesn't give me one great white player. He gives me two of the greatest white players ever to play together.
To play
together on the team. And I know you want to talk about Dave Cowens, we've talked about Havlicek, but Larry Bird and Kevin McHale were the two greatest white players ever to play together.
Yeah, Matt, did you take Larry to Slades?
They could definitely play that. But you know what? Brad?
You take him out to eat the Slades?
Back in the 60s, now these guys didn't get to where Bird and McHale got, but didn't you have some bad white boys in Carolina that can play? We had some boys in Greensboro and Burlington, this boy Tommy Cole, this boy Jackie Crutchfield and Green. Man, these boys could go. Oh man, these guys could play.
Man, look, Bob. The first white guy I ever just admired playing the game. He played at University of Virginia. Cool as hell.
Y'all just talking about your favorite white player.
His name was Barry Parkhill.
He's the one that made MVP in the ACC over me.
That dude, he had the shaggy hair going.
I know. I remember.
Barry Parkhill was a bad boy, man.
I came in second in vote for ACC player.
His name was Barry Parkhill.
Yeah, Barry Parkhill. Barry Park. He didn't. I think he might have played 1 year, or he might have got cut when he got to the NBA. But he was definitely doing it at Virginia. That's for sure.
Josue, I had a situation.
Favorite white players.
I had a situation in the game that we had Bob guarding me, and Bob was laughing, and I told him, I said, Bob, we get ready to go at you right now. He said, no. He was overplaying me, and he's watching the ball go from the left side to the right side into my hands. I said, well, here we go.
Here we go.
and this dude happened to be, but you know what? He did not give me any quarter. If he had to elbow me, he would have. If I had to elbow him, we would have. But that's the difference in the league right now. I think guys are good enough that they can police themselves without the NBA just kind of taking over and taking away. Because NBA basketball, to me, a lot of times, Bob, was about intimidation, about intimidating your opponent. And if you could talk to a guy and you win that guy enough, that guy was eventually he was gonna crumble.
Well, Fred, I remember when we were in the warm up and you called me to half court and we came to talk to each other and you said, "Go get Byron Scott." And I got Byron Scott, and you told Byron, "Oh, Danny Ainge is going at your ass tonight." I said, Fred doing the Don King right before the game started.
Oh man, we can keep going for hours, man. But Bob, we're gonna wrap things up here. We appreciate you, Bob McAdoo, man. Yeah. We appreciate your time. 2-time NBA champion. What is it? 5-time scoring champ, or 3-time? Excuse me, 3-time scoring champ, 5-time All-Star. Bob McAdoo. Cedric Maxwell Podcast. We appreciate you, man. We'll get you back on here soon.
No problem.
Love, brother. Much love to you. Peace out.
All right. The QC.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Cedric Maxwell Podcast, guys. Subscribe. We are everywhere where you can find your favorite podcast, every platform. Subscribe to the Cedric Maxwell Podcast. And, of course, CLNS Media. If you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube, guys. That's a wrap for tonight. We'll see what happens Friday night against this. Celtics against the Nets. I think I'm still on. I think so, right? All right, I'm still here. Good night, guys.
All right, see you later.